Now, the former Chief Whip, Andrew Mitchell, says he found himself frustrated by Number 10 and the Cabinet Office last autumn when he tried to get hold of CCTV pictures showing what really happened on the night he was accused of calling police in Downing Street plebs. In the end, it took David Cameron's intervention to get what he wanted. Well, Mr Mitchell was speaking to our political correspondent Michael Crick for tonight's Channel 4 Dispatches, and Michael's here now. So what did he say to you?
Well, he explained the long struggle he'd had. While he was still Chief Whip, he inquired about the CCTV and was told, oh, you don't need to worry about that, it's inconclusive, and there's no audio. When he stepped down as Chief Whip, he put in a formal request, and he actually had to assert his rights under the Data Protection Act, only to be reminded by bureaucrats that they had 40 days to answer his request. It took him more than a fortnight before he was allowed to go and watch it at the Cabinet Office, another 5 weeks before he was actually handed a DVD. And it took an appeal by him and his wife to, it was only after an appeal by him and his wife to David Cameron that he got that DVD. And for weeks, Cabinet officials, including the Cabinet Secretary, were saying, well, you can't have a DVD because of national security, an argument that Mr Mitchell didn't find entirely convincing.
I do not think the arguments about national security were genuine, no.
Who was making them?
Well, I'm not going to go through all the plumbing on
But it must have been important
this.
people. It must have been people like Jeremy Hayward.
That was an argument that was put.
Was it put by him?
But ultimately it was not
Was it put by him, Mr Mitchell? Was Jeremy Hayward saying that you should not get to see the CCTV?
I think it would be fair to say that Jeremy Hayward was concerned about national security issues in releasing the CCTV.
And you think that argument is bogus?
I do not think that the release of the CCTV, to me, affected national security.
Well, so where does this leave Andrew Mitchell and also the people he's crossed swords with in government?
Well, he's revealed to us that he's actually taking legal action against the Sun newspaper and the reporter who broke the story, Tom Newton-Dunn. And then there's the big question is whether he, assuming the police investigation doesn't throw up any great surprises, whether he'll be allowed back into government at the next reshuffle. Now, I think from talking to him, Andrew Mitchell has been, and his family have been incredibly bruised by this whole process. And he says he's made no real decisions about his political future. And I'm not entirely convinced that he's made his mind up, that he actually wants to go back into government.
Michael, thanks very much. And of course, you can see more of Michael's work on Dispatches right after this programme here on Channel 4 at 8 o'clock.